My illustrations for my book are all done, and now I'm ready to create the layout. And although I illustrated the book in Procreate, I'm not going to do the layout in Procreate because Procreate is really meant for illustration, and I just find it really hard to add text in Procreate. Also, if I wanted to resize or rotate anything, Procreate would make it blurry, whereas Photoshop won't. And by the way, if you want step-by-step instructions on how to do the layout in Photoshop or Canva, I'll have links in the description for you, as well as links to my templates that are already properly sized for bleed. So I'm doing mine in Photoshop, and I have my template open here, and this is my template for an 8.5 by 8.5 book. And I have all these different artboards here, and each artboard is just going to be a page in the book. And first, I can just update my copyright page. So I'll just put my book title in here, and I'll update the year and my author name. And then I'll worry about the cover page and the dedication later. And because the first page of your book is going to be to the right of the spine and all by itself, then these two pages are going to be side by side. And then these ones are going to be side by side as well. So even pages are always on the left and odd pages are on the right. So this is all of the art that I created for my book. And as you can see, I exported it from Procreate as the full image. And then I also exported the background and the foreground as separate pieces. And I did that just in case I end up wanting to move things around, because sometimes I might end up finding that I need like extra space around the edges, or maybe I want less space around the edges, or, I mean, could be anything. So that just makes it a lot easier for me to manipulate later. And then I have my storyboard here, so I'll be able to look at my storyboard so I can see where each artwork goes. So for the first page here, I want Bitsy be waking up in the morning. So I'll go into my art folder and I'll just find my drawing of Bitsy be waking up in the morning, and I'll just drop that onto my document. And then I'll just drag it over to the right page over here. And then I'm going to make sure snap is turned on. So I'll go to view, snap, and that way the artwork will snap in place here. Oh, and also I just wanted to talk about the guides for a second too. So these are the guides that we have right here. I'm actually going to lock them because, as you can see, I could move them on accident here and then they won't be right anymore. So I'm going to go to view, guides, and lock guides. And now they're locked, so I can't move them. But the guides are for the bleed and the safe zone. So the one outside here, the outermost guide, is for the bleed, and that part is going to get trimmed off. So I wouldn't want anything important to be in that area. So that's why the bed, I have it actually above, even inside the safe zone, because that's an important part and I don't want it to get cut off. And then the inside guide is the safe zone guide, and that is where you need all of the text to be inside. And if you don't have the text inside the safe zone, then you're going to get errors. So if you upload it to KDP, your book will get rejected. So you need to make sure that all of your text stays within the safe zone. Now I need the one of her buzzing off to school with her little breakfast in her hand. And from my storyboard, I can see that the text is going to go on the top. So I'm going to just pull her and her little background down a little bit, so that way the text can go on the top. And I'm just going to continue that for the rest of the book. Now for this next one, I'm going to be doing a spread. So I'm going to show you how I do that because that's a little bit different than the other ones. So my spread is going to go across these two pages. And the artwork I made is exactly the size of 2 pages with bleed. So it's going to fit perfectly in there. So I'm going to go ahead and drop it in. And then up here where it has the width and the height, I'm actually just going to make that 100 because I don't want it sized smaller. And now I'm just going to take the left side and snap it to the left of that left page. And then I'm going to copy it over to page 11. I can actually do it over here in the layers. Sometimes I think that's easier. So I have the illustration selected here, and I'm just going to do Command J to make a copy. And then I'll just drag this up to page 11 and put it there. So you can see right here, it's in the same spot. And I'm just going to take it and drag it over to the left. And I'm just going to let it snap to that right edge there. So you can see that it's snapping exactly to that edge. And then now, when we look at the two pages together, you can see that they line up perfectly. There is a little gap because the artboards have a gap between them, so it might not look exactly like it lines up, but once those pages are connected, it's going to line up perfectly. So now on to the rest of the pages. Now I have all of my artwork in here, and I can go ahead and start adding the text. For my font, I'm thinking that I want to try the font that I used for my previous children's book, Platty's Perfect Day, because if I like it for this book too, then it'll be consistent and maybe it'll kind of create a branding. So I'm going to start with that. And I'm just going to press the letter T on my keyboard to bring up the text tool. And then I'm going to click and drag to create a text box. And then in here, I'm just going to paste my text for this page. And I have the transcript right here. So I'm just going to copy this and I'll paste it here. And then I'm going to find that font that I used. So the one I used is called Carrot Flower. And I'm going to make it bigger. Maybe add a little line spacing. And then I'm just going to copy this over to the other page. So I'm going to come down here to my layers, and then with that layer selected, I'm just going to do Command J or Control J on Windows, and then I'm going to drag that copy up to page 5. And now I'm just going to paste my text for that page. I see now that this needs to be just 2 lines because this one is 2 lines, so I'm just going to click on this and I'll just remove that line break. So this is my first 2 pages, and now I'll go to the next page. So for this one, the text is just going to be on the left page here. So I'm going to grab this text, and then I'll come over here to the layers, and I'll just make a copy. So Command J or Control J on Windows, and then I'm just going to drag it up to page 6, and I'll just replace that text. I think I'm going to add some line breaks in here just because the text is so short. And I'm going to do it where you would naturally say it. So, as she buzzes and zigs and zags, she sees a storm cloud, and then I'll put a line break, in the sky. She feels some big drops, and then a line break can go there. On her tiny head, and it hurts, and then I'll put a line break. And that really goes with the rhythm of the way that it rhymes as well. I might end up adding something cute like around the edges. I'm not really sure yet. I'll wait and see what I think later. So I'm just going to continue that for the rest of the pages, just copying the text and dragging it up to the next page, and then pasting in the text for that page. In this one, you can see that the text is overlapping the flower, so I actually want the flower to be down a little bit, but as you can see, if I pull it down, then the background comes down. And this is exactly why I also saved out the individual pieces of my artwork so that I could move stuff around if I needed to. So as you can see, I have the daisy and the rain and the ground, so I have all these separate pieces here. So I'm just going to drop those in. And now I can just pull the flower down a little bit. And I can pull the rain down a bit too, since it kind of goes around the flower. I also don't like that the rain goes right behind the text and it makes it kind of hard to read. So I'm going to add a mask to this rain layer. So I'm going to go down here and just click the layer mask. And then I'm going to grab my brush and I'll make it bigger. I'm also going to make it fluffy. So I'm going to grab the soft round brush. And then I'm going to make sure I have black as the color. And I'm just going to take out the rain from right behind this text. And that way it'll be a lot easier to read. And now I'll add text to the next page. Now, I don't love how these two are full page images right next to each other. I think I'd rather have one with a full page image and then one in like a vignette or, some kind of bubble type thingy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of the circles from this one. So I have these as separate layers here. So I'm going to grab this circle and I'm going to duplicate it. And then I'm going to bring it over to this page, which is page 15. So I'm going to pull this up until I get to page 15. So that's right here. And I put it underneath the full page image here. And then I'm just going to do a clipping mask. So I'm just going to hold down Option. And then when I get this little icon here with the down arrow, I'm going to click. So now the circle is a mask for the image, and you can only see the image where it overlaps the circle. So now I can just move it how I want to, and I think I might actually want to make it smaller, so that way you'll be able to see more of it. I think I want it up like this, but I do need to fill in this part right here with more of my illustration. And what I always like to use for that is the content aware fill. So I'm just going to press the letter M on my keyboard to bring up the marquee tool. And I'm just going to select this area right here. And I'm going to go up here to edit, content aware fill. And that is how it's going to fill it out. And it does look super repetitive here. So I'm going to go up here and see if I can adjust it. Let's do a rotation adaptation. That might help. Oh yeah, that looks a lot better. Now I'm going to click OK. And there we go. Now it continued my artwork and it all looks seamless. Now I'll just continue on to the rest of the pages. I think this would be so cute with little bubbles all around it. But I didn't save the bubbles separately, so I'll probably do that later, like off camera. For this last page, I just realized there's like so much empty space here. So I might try to add some more to this page. I could bring this up a little bit and maybe extend the bottom, and then she won't be so close to the bottom of the page. But I might still need something here just so that it's not so empty. I'll figure that out off camera because I'll probably have to go into Procreate and edit that. On this last page here, I want to show some of my other books that I've done and have a QR code to go to Amazon. So I'm going to first just copy some text over. And then I'm just going to say more books by Heather Cash. And then I'll make this bigger. And then I can make sure it's centered on the page if I pull the text box out like this. And I'm going to make this end right at the edge here. That's going to be the spine. And then this side, I want it to go right to that trim line. So my bleed guide, because the left part's going to get trimmed off. And that's going to keep it nice and centered. And now I'm just going to drop in my book covers of my other books. So I'm just going to go to Amazon. And I found my book, so I'm just going to click on my name here so that I can go to all my books. And I'll just go through each one, and I'm just going to click on the cover so that it gets big, and then I'll just download it. I have these files somewhere, but for me, this is just easier. It's kind of like my lazy version. So I'll just do save image as, and I'll just save it on my computer. And I'll just do that for each of my books. And you do have to make sure that you click on this to make it bigger, because otherwise you're going to be downloading the low resolution version of your cover. So you want the nice, big, high resolution version. And now I can go back to Photoshop and I'll go to that folder and I can just drop all of these in. And now I'm going to come over to the layers here and I'm just going to select the top one, hold down Shift, and select the bottom one so that they're all selected. And then I'm going to do Command T on a Mac or Control T on Windows. And then I'm just going to size it down to however big I need it to be so that they can all fit here. So I'll try that and I can always change it later if I need to. And then I'm just going to lay these out. And I will need to leave some room for the QR code as well. I'm thinking maybe something like this, and I'm going to go generate the QR code now. I'm going to use this website QR Code Monkey to generate my QR code. If you're using Canva, then they actually have an app where you can just generate it right within Canva. But since I'm using Photoshop, I'm going to use this website to generate my QR code. So for the URL, I'm going to find my author page on Amazon. So I'm just going to go to Amazon and find my book, and then I'll just click on my name here. And here's my author page with all my books. And I'm just going to go up here to the URL and I'm just going to copy everything before that question mark because we don't need all those extra parameters. So I'm just going to go to the left of the question mark and just select everything before it. And then I'm going to do copy, so Command or Control C. And then I'm going to go to the QR code website and I'll just paste that here. And then I'm just going to click Create QR Code. And now I'm going to click Download PNG. Now that's downloaded, so I'll just go to Photoshop and open, and I'm just going to find that file and click Open. And then I'm just going to do Select All and Copy, and I'll just paste it in. And I'm just going to size this down. And I'm going to add some text here, so I'm going to press the letter T on my keyboard, and then I'll just click where I want to add the text. I'll do Buy Now on Amazon, and I'm just going to make this bigger. And then I'm just going to make this a little bit crooked so that it's kind of like casual. And I'm going to add an arrow. I actually have a membership at VectEasy right now. It has a lot of licensed art on it. So I'm just going to go to PNGs and I'll search for arrow. They also have a lot of free stuff too. So if you need some kind of image, you might be able to find something free if you don't have the membership. I'm thinking maybe this one. So I'll download that. And I'm just going to do Select All and Copy, and I'll paste it in. And then I'll just make this a lot smaller. And then I just want to remove a little bit of the arrow here. I want it to end like right here. So I'm going to grab my eraser and I'm just going to end it like right here. I think that's probably good. So now my layout of my book is done, although there are a few places that I just need to kind of fix up. And then I'll show you the final version in the next video. Once I'm all done, I'm just going to go to File, Export, and I'm going to do Artboards to Files. And then I'm going to save these out as JPEGs, high quality JPEGs. So I'm just going to do JPEG and have the quality all the way up, and then I'll run it. Then I'll have all of the pages as JPEGs, and then I'll just do File, Automate, PDF Presentation, and then I'll make it into a PDF that way. And the reason I do that instead of doing File, Export, Artboards to PDF is because I found that when I do Artboards to PDF, it doesn't flatten it, and there doesn't seem to be a way to make it flattened. And then sometimes I end up with like weird errors, or the size is too big, or any number of different things. So that's why I save them out as JPEGs and then put all of those into a PDF. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing my process of laying out a children's book. And in the next episode, I'm going to design the front and back cover. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Or as always, you can email me at heather@heathercash.com. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so I know to make more videos like this. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.